Hello, I'm Rebecca Horan and welcome to A Little Birdie Told Me, a podcast brought to you by rollercoaster.ie. In season 4, I'm going to be talking to a range of well-known Irish faces about being in the trenches when it comes to parenting. On this episode, nutritionist focusing on women's hormone health and mum of two, Sophie Morris joins me to talk all about parenting boys, the impact of her parents' separation as a child, and her brilliant business. Well, Sophie Morris, nutrition coach, author, and mum of two, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks so much, Rebecca. Thanks for having me.
Sophie and I met by default. We met in a playground, the way most people meet when they're
a friend,
kids.
wasn't it?
A friend of ours called Anne. And we were there, and I remember just vibing. I was like, there's another woman who's about to have a baby. You had your baby. We met again. I had you at my house.
Yeah.
We stayed in touch. But then I actually followed you previous to us having a chat because I think I'd always been interested in your...
And vice versa.
Cooking stuff, yes.
Yes.
So we'll get into... Okay, so your mum, my husband's South African. Isn't she South African?
Yes,
right,
she's South
okay.
African,
So tell me a little bit about Sophie's childhood.
So, my mum was born in South Africa and she met my dad when she was young in London. They both lived in London doing that kind of thing in the 70s and obviously fell in love, got married, she followed him to Ireland essentially. So that's how she ended up in Ireland.
He was Irish?
He was Irish.
Okay.
Yeah, and he was just working in London. And then, but my parents separated when I was very young. So they separated when I was only 3.
Did you have a sibling?
Yes, an older brother, Rupert.
Okay.
Yeah. So he would have been 5 and I would have been 3.
Do you ever remember that?
Yes, I do remember it. Yeah.
Why do you remember it?
It's definitely impacted. I'd say it's impacted so much in my life, actually, that experience of them separating when I was so young. And I didn't think we were going to get into this so early on.
But why do you think it impacted?
I've never actually spoken about this publicly or out there, but I was very young and I think I'm only realising now how much it's impacted me.
In a negative or positive way?
Probably a mix of both, but...
Because I was going to say, if it was the right thing, it's a good thing they did it, but I guess you were sad about that choice, or am I completely wrong?
No, I was sad about that choice. I mean, I think your parents ending a relationship when you're that young, even if it's the right decision, you can't see that when you're that young.
No.
You know, it's
not that deep to you. It's just
no,
sad.
it's just really sad. And they both went and had different relationships when I was very young. So that, and they were going through my whole childhood.
Okay.
And
so they moved on
romantically very quickly.
Right.
And but we weren't very involved in those relationships. You know, my mum's in particular, and she wouldn't mind me saying that, you know, it wasn't a healthy relationship. Okay. So that was a huge struggle growing up. And
were you with your mum or staying with both?
With my mum.
You were?
Yeah, we were with my mum.
So your dad would see you?
Once a week.
Okay.
So I think for me, I went through my kind of 20s and 30s kind of very unaware, kind of unconscious of how it had ever affected me. I just was quite unaware. And I think one thing I always say, the gift that becoming a mum has taught me, or the boys have taught me, is I've become so much more self-aware from it. Because when I had them, particularly when Raya was getting to the age where things would have been breaking down with my parents, it's mad. Like, the whole thing came up in me.
Wow.
And I had just buried the whole thing in my 20s and 30s. I just hadn't thought about it really, how it had affected me. But it all started to come up. Things that had happened, I started having memories that I'd never had before. Yeah. It was just mad. It was totally mad.
So it's like a regression in a way, or going back.
Yeah. And then I got this kind of, when Raya was born, when he was young, I got a nearly a very unhealthy level of fear, I would say, of like damaging him, or, you know, him feeling abandoned by me. Sure. and all these things came, and that was.
Do you think so?
Totally. Well, I started going to therapy because I struggled so badly when he was young. And
do you think, Sophie, we won't, like, this is obviously way back and things are different and you're 40, but like you've just said, it's impacted a lot. Do you think it impacted you because of the lack of communication and how sad it was and sudden, maybe, and also the new relationships, and also your dad just not being in the home?
Mm-hmm.
Or did it impact you because you just really wanted them to be together forever? What do you think it is?
What you said absolutely.
Okay.
It wasn't because relationships, it can be nearly as unhealthy staying together for the kids.
That's what I'm trying to discover here, because it worries me when you say, God, I worry about my sons. Well, you also have to live your right. Yeah. Okay,
yeah. No, I feel like we had very close childhood friends, and their parents did the opposite. They stayed together, but they were very unhappy, and I still remember.
Oh, Jesus.
I still remember them saying,
and we
to
all
me
know
sometimes,
a lot of those.
yeah.
So, yeah.
And I remember them saying, like, "You're lucky your parents aren't." It's
wasn't
miserable.
Toxic and,
yeah, exactly.
It was
so
how
for me,
it happened.
yeah, I realized that it was how the communication. And, I've had many conversations with my mum since this, and there's been a lot since having my boys. And it was that nothing was communicated to us. Like, I never really knew what was going on. Like, it was never like, we were never sat down and told what was happening. And I think our generation...
Just because you're too young? You wouldn't understand?
I think that generation, they just didn't... There was none of this, like, let's validate
Gentle
their feelings.
Or how are you feeling today?
Yeah, what is going on?
Yeah, that tantrum is about something else.
It's okay to feel this. It's okay to feel that.
Totally.
They didn't do any of that. They're
like, don't talk about that stuff.
Don't talk about it.
Yes.
Don't talk about it.
Yes.
And even to the point where my mum actually admitted to me, when I was really struggling with writing, she admitted to me, she was like, the biggest regret she had is that she told me at the time that, oh no, Daddy's going to come back. He's going to come back. And that I had this crazy memory, and it suddenly came flooding back to me, that memory of, oh my goodness, I remember them saying that to me.
So she was trying to say, this is temporary, Daddy's
she just
back,
didn't want
don't
to
worry
upset
about
me.
it. Yeah,
it was
but
just
by
like,
doing that, there was no real...
By doing that, it was completely confusing. And I just thought, oh, he's going to come back, and he never came back.
Did he have to, could they not have like co-parented, like this progressive thing that we all talk about now, we all hope to achieve, and could he not have stayed within the home, or was it a point where they just weren't getting on? Do you remember?
No, because they weren't
getting on?
Well, they were definitely not getting on. I remember the fighting, like, even though I was that young.
You do remember that?
I do remember that, and that was hard. And then they were both in these other relationships very quickly. So
you don't wish for them to have stayed together?
No, and I know that that was not the right choice. And I love my parents, by the way, and they were amazing parents, but they weren't right for each other. Definitely. And I can see that now as an adult.
But it's all the decisions we make that impact us as kids.
Yeah.
Okay, this is so interesting.
Yeah.
So, okay, it's not actually the breaking up, which is really sad, and life isn't perfect, and we don't know what's going to be thrown at us, right? But it was how it was handled in that day, which we all know we've a lot of traumas. Yeah. You're now parenting two boys.
Yeah.
Ryo and
Max.
And you're saying, because I feel it very much with the girls, and I'm over the top at everything. You're saying you do sometimes, and you were saying you're struggling with Ryo, things bring you back. You are protective about how you handle emotions and stuff. And I see that with how you parent.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit about that.
So I think the reason, how it first showed up for me was when he was young. And essentially I've always had my own business. Like, I worked for myself from my early 20s. I had a food business, cookie dough, then sold that business, became a nutritionist, started nutrition. I've always done my own thing, and I've been very successful with my businesses.
Why have you always been so entrepreneurial?
I don't know.
Is it in your family?
Well, that's another thing I think that's come from, which I think is a positive side of what happened with my parents, is that I think that growing up, they were so distracted with their relationships.
Yeah.
I poured everything into achievement.
Wow. So you're quite independent.
I learned this from therapy now, just in
the
last number of years. But I realised that I just threw everything. Things were not good in the home. So I threw things into achieving, being the good girl, being brilliant at everything. I wanted to be everything and brilliant. Went to Trinity, got a scholarship in Trinity, set up my own business, did a PhD. Tick. And then had my son. And I had been so naive, like we all are, before having kids. And I thought, okay. And I was really prepared. And I organised 4 months of how the business would run without me when I first had him. And I was like, everything was lined up for 4 months. And I thought, then I'll be fine. I'll be able to go back into it. Of course, 4 months came, and it's, as you know, no way. There's no way. He was a terrible sleeper as a baby. Terrible.
First or second?
First.
Yeah.
Terrible sleeper as a baby. I was just shell-shocked about the whole thing. And again, all this stuff coming up with me that I couldn't separate from him, and I didn't want to damage him, and I couldn't put him into possibly think about any childcare, and all this stuff is coming up that I had a real freak out about how I was going to get back into the business, and this went on and on. I kind of would delayed it, and I just knew I couldn't do it. And it was my name. It was Sophie's Nutrition at this point. It was an online nutrition coaching business. And it was my name. That's what people were signing up for. And I couldn't, firstly, my brain wasn't functioning because of the sleep. So I knew I couldn't give it what I used to give it to my clients. They wanted me. It was my reputation. So it was this battle of what do I do? And it went on for months. And I remember eventually, like, I kept on dragging my heels. What am I going to do? It was a constant conversation with me and Robbie. Like, I'm sure I drove him mad. But what am I going to do? And then at 10 months, I remember vividly the conversation in the car with him. I just had this moment of just a moment of perspective, I suppose, a moment of clarity where I just said, okay, I just have to let it go. I have to let go the idea of the business for now. Like, I know my mental health can't take it. I'm going to do this for a few years, and it's small in the grand scheme of my life. I know I'll go back to my business. I know I'll go back to my career, but right now, this is what I have to do, and I just have to let go of the business for now. So I had that kind of moment when he was 10 months. So I can't remember what that conversation had started.
But was there grief in having to stop?
Totally.
Okay, so this wasn't some it'll be amazing. No. It was devastating. Yeah.
Because my whole identity was being this business owner, and I'd been this big success in my 20s. And, you know, I'd gotten quite a bit of profile.
And the ego as well. You're like not getting to be yourself. You're a mom.
No,
so I think I was saying to you the stuff that you worry about with Ryan and Max damaging them and limitations of damage, and how actually the beautiful poem, they fuck you up, your mum and dad, they never mean to but they do, is just unfortunately, Sophie, and I'm learning it the really hard way. When I say fuck them up, it sounds really awful and grim, but like, we're going to do our absolute best, and they're still not going to be perfect because humans are flawed and they just are. And you can be the most gentle parent, which I know you're extraordinary, and you won't make the same mistakes and you'll learn, but we're still not going to do what that next generation will go on and take from us. So it's intergenerational trauma, which we're all picking a piece, so we're improving ourselves, but actually they'll improve even more. So we have to be a bit more cognizant, and I think as women, to not drown in the like trying to be so perfect.
Oh, totally.
And I think that you are a perfectionist.
Absolutely.
And you're an alpha, maybe it's like...
And that came from that need to achieve, because that's what got me attention as a kid. That's what got me love as a kid.
Wow, that's so interesting.
That is literally why I had to be
They love me when I'm amazing.
Yeah. And so then when it stopped, when I make the decision to stop that, oh, well, suddenly I wasn't achieving anymore. Suddenly I wasn't doing all these things. So my confidence just went out the window. Like my whole identity.
Not with your husband, who sees you for you.
No, but I struggled with that. And he would always say that to me. I would constantly say to him, I failed. You
don't think I'm as great anymore, and
I failed. This is not, this is not who I am. And he would constantly tell me, "What are you talking about? Look at everything you've achieved, everything you've done." I said, "Yeah, but it's ended. I don't have it anymore. I failed." And
God, we're so hard on ourselves.
So hard on ourselves.
God, what the heck is wrong with us?
I know.
What is wrong with us?
Yeah, I know. So
is it the 90s noughties children? Because I had a guest in recently too, and we had this similar conversation about our childhoods, and like every one of us has different childhoods, and then similar veins as well, because it's 90s noughties. And we're so, in ways, so accomplished, I think. Yeah. Even more so. Yeah. We're doing a lot more. We're balancing a lot of balls where I think stretched and like not allowed to really say it. And yet we're really hard on ourselves.
Well, I think obviously it's been amazing, the progression of, feminism and women in the workplace, and we can do this and we can do that and we can have everything and we can do anything men can do, and we can. But what the problem with that is that now I feel like we have all attached our self-worth nearly to achieving in our careers and achieving. But then we also want to be mothers. When you're just
a mom,
that's
really
not
disappointing.
Well, society doesn't recognize the importance of being a mom. Like, it doesn't recognize that that's... So when I felt like, oh, well, I'm not achieving anymore my whole identity, and I wasn't recognizing the role I was doing, which is probably going to be the most important role I will ever do.
Life,
like, I'm raising another human to like, be able to go out into the world and function in the world and add things to the world. But it's not recognized. So I wasn't raised recognizing it. So I now don't recognize it in myself. So now I feel like a failure, and I feel like I'm not good enough. I think that's the problem.
Are you glad, in a way, that you are raising two boys who will help you? Because I do have this thing in my mind, correct me if I'm wrong, the boys just adore their mamas, right? Okay,
I don't know any
Look,
different.
they will. And there's an adoration, and boys there's a different love language, I think, between
definitely
daddies and girls and mamas and boy. And I have two small girls and they adore me, but there will come a time when I'm just like, embarrassing, uncool, and a head wreck. But at the moment, they're definitely have some strange addiction to me, and it's quite overwhelming because I'm like, oh god, the guilt when I leave, or the guilt, and they want to sleep on my head.
I have that.
It's
that
a
too.
lot.
Yeah.
And my husband often feels like he's the one doing all the stuff, and they use Paddy last. But I said it will change. But is it nice raising boys because you take yourself out of the female judgy, like the
I think
worrying that they're going to be self-deprecating?
Part of me is a little bit relieved purely because I'm like,
bloody hard.
Yeah. Part of me is relieved because I'm like, oh, maybe all my crap won't actually,
You know what I mean?
Be passed on to them.
I worry about it.
Because they're boys. But then at the same time, I do feel a massive pressure with raising boys, though, that element of how they're going to view women.
Sure.
And
that's also your husband's responsibility, and he's an awesome
it's
person.
Both.
Yeah,
exactly.
But I do think you're right about raising girls. You do go, am I going to give them my shit?
Yeah, am I going to give them my shit?
And I do it all the time, Sophie, where I'm like, I don't want her to see me talk about my body.
Yeah, your body.
I don't want to be insecure about when someone says you did well and that. I'm like, no, I didn't. I don't want them to be mean about other women.
Yeah.
I want them to be a little bit more, and I worry about it a lot, and I watch the sensitivities of little girls and how they take everything in. And if I have an argument with a family member or my husband, how sad they get. Like, so
well, boys are very sensitive too. I mean, I like Ryo is so sensitive, like
to things around him.
Yeah, like he really picks up on stuff, and that's why I went. And I still go through fear of, oh my god, am I like? It's an unhealthy level of fear.
Don't you think
of
the awareness is good though? That
yes,
if you were the kind of person who's like,
totally.
And I'm not saying your mum or dad were like that, but if you were actually unaware completely and like, oh, he's gonna be but the fact that you're kind of clocking in all the time, maybe that makes you a better mum.
Totally. And I think going to therapy and unpacking it all has massively helped me. Yeah, I do. And it's really helped.
How do you find that?
Oh, I find it has been
Isn't
unbelievable.
It exhausting?
It's draining. It's draining, but I do come
Look
away.
If I want to talk about that. It's draining.
So draining, but it's allowed me to give myself a break because I now understand, like in the moments when I'm triggered, I may feel like, oh God, I am going to damage them. But I do intellectually know now.
So I'm not. You?
It's really helping me because I know now what I am doing differently to our parents' generation, in that I still lose my crap. I still lose it, but I do go and talk to them after.
It's the rebuild repair.
It's the repair.
This is something I was listening to, not from a therapist, but a podcast recently where I have a lot of guilt. So say if I'm a bit unhinged or overstimulated with work or demands or the phone, and I'm snappy. And that is not her fault that I was a dick there, or she just got me at a moment where I was like, Gia, I'm just trying to do something, and she's like, I just want to do, and I see her face falling, right? And I think back in a different generation, it would have just not maybe been addressed.
Never.
And so you always felt shame.
Exactly.
And no one wanted you in sadness and
exactly.
blah, blah, blah.
Exactly.
I'm now very good at going, Mama was a dick upstairs earlier.
Yeah.
And it's okay, Mama. No, I wasn't being kind.
It's not okay for me to do that.
Kind? Yeah, it's not okay for me to lose it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I was? I was cranky and a bit tired, and I'm really sorry about that because we can't say to our kids, you should say sorry for pushing that point. And if we're literally going to be assholes all the time, they'll be like confused.
Yeah,
so I do pull myself up.
And that's what I do. And I think the therapy has allowed me to go, so it's okay. It's okay that I can lose it. It's okay that I have all my triggers that I have. But at the end of the day, I'm communicating with them. I'm actually communicating with them, and I'm telling them that was not okay for me to shout at you. It's not your fault.
Yeah.
I'm angry. It's okay that I'm angry, but it's not okay for me to do that. Yeah. So,
Is there was there the therapy stuff? Did you feel, and I know you said you love your mum and dad, and like all humans make mistakes or decisions or aren't in love anymore, and that's okay.
And they did the best they could.
Was there a forgiveness part, or you didn't have to forgive?
I think there has been over the last.
Has that been kind of good?
Yeah, it has, because it's realizing that people can only behave in the limits of their awareness.
Oh my God, totally.
And they didn't have the awareness, and I don't blame them. No one in there, like as my mum says, no one went to therapy in our day. You know what I mean? She's like, what the hell? So they didn't, and they didn't have access to the kind of information we have access to in terms of child psychology, and also they were much younger. I mean,
true.
Like I suppose not much younger, but they got together much younger than a lot of us do. Yeah. I was 30.
Make these choices.
We're a bit older. I feel like I know myself a lot more than I would have. When they had their first, they would have had their first at 28, let's say, my brother.
She's young.
That is young. Whereas I was like 34 having my first,
Same.
So there's a big difference there.
And do you have a good relationship with your mum?
Yes, yeah.
You seem to, and she visits. And...
Oh, well, no, we built a granny flat for her now beside our house.
Yeah. So your mom lives in New Zealand.
She's moved back now because we built.
Stop it.
Yeah, we built the granny flat.
So she was living in New Zealand.
She was living in New Zealand.
How long?
10 years.
For a relationship or for her life?
She got remarried.
Okay.
And mad story, it was her first boyfriend from South Africa, weirdly,
Stop
that she
it.
reconnected with. Yeah. But he had moved to New Zealand to become
So
a doctor.
romantic.
I know.
What?
I know.
Sorry, first childhood boyfriend or is
Yeah, they were in teenage.
That is so romantic.
And then they broke up
Sophie.
because they're going to college or something. Yeah.
And they met in New Zealand.
They met at an airport.
Oh my God, Sophie, what?
Yeah, I know. It was a totally mad story. It was a total mad story. I was traveling with one of my best friends after college. We were meeting in South Africa, my mum, to have Christmas with my family in South Africa. And she was waiting for me to come off the plane. She saw a sign up saying his name on it, basically. Yeah. And she was like, I wonder, is that the same? Stop it. Because she knew
he
had
an amazing story.
Yeah, she knew he had moved to New Zealand because her parents and his parents were still friends. Anyway, he came off the plane before me and she recognised him and went up to him and he was like, oh my goodness. And they hadn't seen each other in decades.
What age were they?
Oh God. Late 50s.
So how did the stars align that they're both single?
She had just finished a relationship that had been so bad in my whole childhood, and he was divorced. He had four. He had 4 kids. Yeah.
You don't think this is amazing?
I know. No, it was. I was like, Mum, she really needs to have a movie made about her life.
And they were vibing immediately.
Yeah, they exchanged phone numbers, and like that whole Christmas, I remember she was on the phone to him and stuff because he wasn't actually staying in South Africa. He was going on a trip to Zimbabwe with his kids or something. Can't remember. And he asked her to go visit in New Zealand, and she just went. And we were in our 20s at the stage, me and my brother. So she went over, and his kids were still much younger. So that's why, he was never going to leave New Zealand. So she made the move there. Yeah. So that's mad. It was an amazing story.
Are they still together?
No, that's not. It's not ended. But to be honest, it's not because not for want to stay together. It's because it's sadly. She wanted to be in Ireland growing old. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. As soon as the grandkids came along, it became very different, and he just wasn't willing to move to this side of the world. And she was like, I don't want to grow old.
But they had 10 good years.
Yeah,
that's really romantic.
Yeah,
so she's living here.
Yeah, so it's actually amazing.
So you built the most beautiful. Sophie's Instagram, give Sophie
_Morris.
Her Instagram is absolutely fantastic. I think Sophie is very good at curating really great content. She comes up with really great, achievable, healthy, nutritious, not faddy, bullshitty nutritionist, like really good stuff to feed your kids, which I'm often like, sorry, what do I do with it? She has some content of her family. It's not overkill or overstimulate, but like some. Mm-hmm. And then the house, right, in Greystones, I won't give your exact address, was built or renovated, and such a beautiful story to watch that. But you're telling me now the granny flat is where your mum is going to be.
Yeah, we've built that beside.
That is amazing.
The house. So it is amazing because she had sold the family home when she moved to New Zealand. So for her to get home, we wanted to do that. But
where was the family home? Where were you raised?
I was raised in Chapelizod, which is totally
not that near. Yeah.
No, and so it's been amazing because she has got such a beautiful relationship with my boys and they adore her, and she's a huge help. Like, she's a massive help. Like, I really felt it when she was in New Zealand because we didn't have that much parental support, and she's now our main, she's our main support now.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's been brilliant. It's been brilliant.
Like, she's literally adorable.
Yeah. And it's been very good for our relationship too, because... Of
course, because you get to work on it and talk.
Yeah. And it's been very good in that regard. And they adore her. And she's such a help. Oh my goodness, she's such a help.
Talk to me about Robbie.
He's brilliant. He is...
Very different people.
Different, but we are different. But how we connected initially was through the whole love of business, and he had always had his own business as well, and I had my business at the time. Cookie dough was my first food business at the time when we first met, and we really connected over that kind of entrepreneurial side, and very driven and that kind of thing. And we would always talk about different ideas that we would do and start. And he helped me build Sophie's Nutrition because he's in the techie side of things. So amazing. I'm food and nutrition, but I don't have a clue about the tech side. But I was building this online business, so he did the whole thing with me and built the technical side of it. And but yeah, I suppose then, like, having kids is obviously like, what can you say?
That's like the best social clip I will have of the season. Like that is the best. Fell in love, had sex 8 times a day, set up my business with them, travel the world. Then you have kids. That's literally it. We don't have to say anything else for the podcast. That's it.
Yeah, I think everyone gets it.
It's so interesting, isn't it? It's like...
It's just
I said it to someone. Who did I say? Oh yeah, I went to the gym, like the competition to get out of the house when the kids are asleep. Took me a while to get the kids down. That was fine. I'm always rushing in. I have a commute, as you know, from here down is scary. So I try and leave and get stuff done. Anyway, it's busy like everyone. And I got down to the gym and it was 8:45 and they were closing. And I always get pissy that they're closing. I'm like, just give me the 20 minutes to do my workout.
Yeah, totally.
And another woman I know who's just gone back to work, having spent 10 years at home, who's so happy to be out of the house, bumped into me and we were just saying... She's like, I went on a mini break. My husband, she's like, God, remember when I used to just be happy and spontaneous and want to talk to him? And she's like, God. And I just laughed. I was like, she goes, I found myself again just for a weekend, but then you're back to the day-to-day.
Yeah.
It's weird, isn't it?
It is weird. It's like...
You mourn it kind of.
Oh, massively. And you're kind of like, oh my goodness, like, have we lost what we are? Yeah. Are we the same? Yeah. You know, you go through this whole thing.
Yes, especially when you have kids, I think.
Especially. And I think for me, it was definitely in the earlier stages after having both of them, because your sleep is so bad. And actually, I think having the second, like, because you're dealing with now, like
a toddler. You and I had the kids at the exact same time.
Yeah, we did.
And I would just walk the avenue going...
Oh my God.
Not a bad night. How was yours? And you'd be like, no, not good. No, mine was super shit as well. So I'm so relieved because you're always meant to be. I have a lot of friends and it's like, put up a good show. I'm like, no, it's shit. No, you and I had a pretty tough second.
Oh, the
shocking sleep.
Oh, the sleep was ridiculous. Like, and Robbie wasn't in the bed for like really until he started sleep, which was 17 months later.
Hot,
like literally, completely. Yeah. So what does that do? I mean, it was just
so weird.
It's so weird, and you're giving so much to these tiny human beings. Like it's like you don't really have much left to give.
And sorry, Sophie, I'm sorry. At 20. They aren't going to thank us for this shit. Like I was talking to someone earlier who was like, I said, and what do you want them to remember you by? And she's like, I just want them to be happy. They're not going to remember or care. So we're just giving, and like we have to accept that they probably will never be grateful.
No.
And maybe we just need to get over
actually
that.
Probably
do you know what I mean though?
Yeah.
You don't think about your mom.
No.
I mean, what you think about is that she's separated from your dad.
Yeah,
which I understand,
don't think about
did your mom hold you quite? Because you don't think about it.
Yeah, I know. And you're like, for God's sake, are we ever going to be thanked for this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's weird thinking about how they are going to be when they're older, in the sense that I feel like they've gotten given so much more.
Maybe we should just get over that. Maybe we've so much hang-ups of, I think you and I are similar in some ways now. Like I'm, okay, so no, because you're brilliant and you're at home and you're definitely probably with them a lot more.
No, but
I have hang-ups about how kids are going to turn out, and I have anxieties about the future, and I spiral, right? But I have started to recently go, I have to let it go, because they were actually born with personalities, born with nurture nature, but they're actually going to be what they're going to be, Sophie. And
exactly.
We can only do so much.
That's so true. Also, I know, you see, it's always, you kind of think about what the grass is always greener in a way, because I've now gone back to work after taking that kind of 5 years, and I'm definitely a better mum now. I am definitely a better mum now.
Wow.
Because
you're fulfilled.
I just have that bit of space, that headspace. Now I'm not working full time, like I'm working until the afternoon, and then I have them for a few hours in the afternoon. But having that space it's just allowed me to breathe, and it's also given me back a bit of me, that just identity that I lost.
You just sound her, yeah.
And now I like really want to, like I was getting to a point, and I think maybe not so much with Ryo because it was just him, and you know I was obsessed with him and all that, but like when having the two of them I found really hard, that dynamic. Hard. The older one,
nobody says that. They just knock out the two kids. They announce their third. They announce, and you're like, why am I so stressed?
And I'm like, is it just my kids? Is it just mine? Like Ryo was so attached to me.
Back in the day.
He's still so attached to me. I still have to like lie. He still won't let Robbie put him to bed. Yeah, and he's 5.
I know we have that.
Like I have to put him. I was like, oh my goodness, he's still attached to me. Have this baby who's also really attached to me. Though. Breastfeeding, and then I got to a point where I think when Max turned into a toddler and the tantrums kind of started, I was like, no, I actually can't do this. I need more space. Yeah. So going back to work has just allowed me to go, and now I can really enjoy that time. I don't always enjoy it, but like I feel like I'm enjoying it a lot more, and therefore I'm showing up better as a mum.
So you've gone back to work. What are you doing?
So I've gone back to Sophie's Nutrition. So it's online nutrition coaching, but a totally different kind of program. So I've gotten the last few years, really passionate about nutrition for hormone health.
Yes.
So,
Okay. So Sophie would go on shows, like big TV shows in Ireland, and talk about recipes, food. She'd go on, right?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Wrote a book. What was the name of the book?
Sophie Cooks.
Sophie Cooks. Everyone has that book. Had her Instagram. Yes, you've had your children, had to step away a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
What you were doing recently, as much as, sorry, I love the recipes, and like if you do need foodie ideas or you want to look at her highlights for anything about kids, it is brilliant. What you are doing now, I think, is one of the biggest game changers, because in Ireland we are so behind. We like to talk about menopause and period and cyclical tablets and getting your supplements, and we like to talk about horseshit. And then in the UK, I'm watching them, like even Davina McCall's investigation into it and her research, actually opening up the conversation.
Totally.
So Sophie loves a workout because she knows it improves her mental health and her body, right? But what Sophie is doing, which I am fucking loving, is talking about the changes within a month that we go through and how to feed, nourish, mind, exercise according to this. So talk about this.
Yeah, I mean, this is
game changing stuff. And people don't know about this because I think they always saw you as the
they don't
mommy
know me.
cook.
Yeah, exactly. And it was from my kind of struggling, I suppose, particularly after having Max.
Hormones.
My PMS got really, really bad.
Okay.
And I, like, for 2 weeks of the month, I would feel really like very down, very anxious, very depressed, very low, and like my whole brain was all over the shop. And cut a long story short, I didn't get the answers I wanted from the GPs that I went to a number of them, didn't get the answers I wanted. So I was like, hold on a second, what are you doing, Sophie? You know this stuff, like, go back to, like, think about it. You've trained in nutrition, you know this, just figure this shit out, basically. So I went back to all my old content from when I trained as a nutritionist, and there's a whole part of it on nutrition for hormone health. And I was like, how did I not really like tap into this at the time? But I think because I wasn't trying to conceive, and because we've all been raised just not having the awareness of how much our hormones impact everything, of how
it was always
we
about
feel.
losing weight, eating the right stuff so that we live
or just
longer,
not getting pregnant,
having
or getting
good skin,
pregnant,
or getting pregnant. But it was never ever a conversation. And I'm so keyed in. You've literally the only person I know online who has made me go, that's why I was so depressed on Tuesday.
Exactly.
And it's
like,
so,
how are we
it's
not?
so amazingly empowering.
It so is. And it transforms how you think about yourself, how you think about how you operate, how you think about how you behave. I mean, it's unbelievable. And I feel like it's such an injustice to us as women that we weren't raised with this education. Like, our cyclical hormones in a month impact everything.
Which are incredible, PS, like, because people give out about, they make us the moms that we are, how creative women are, how we can balance so much shit,
Absolutely.
how we are moody fuckers, but with that comes all this emotional beauty.
Exactly.
How we're sexual. Like,
Exactly.
it's not all this negative poo-pooing of like women
No.
are such fucking moany bitches for 4 weeks. But it is like you said, keying into the moments and knowing how to treat ourselves in those particular.
That's
so
it.
not pushing yourself or pushing yourself.
Yes,
Or,
exactly. And what was the key thing for me is that I realized that from having the boys and all that shit show of loss of identity and all that, I stopped looking after myself. I wasn't eating the way I used to eat. I wasn't exercising the way I used to. I really was just kind of, everything's about feeding him perfectly. And I was doing all the nutrition for him. And I wasn't actually looking after myself. And I realized, oh my God, like, I'm all over the shop, because your nutrition impacts your gut massively.
So
your gut impacts your brain. My brain was so cloudy. I was so like, I just wasn't seeing things clearly at all. And it was only when I got the connection of, and also my stress. Cortisol impacts our hormones hugely. It throws everything off. And I had this kind of low-lying level of stress the whole time, I realized, because that whole shit show of worrying about my identity and who I was and was I ever going to go back to my business, that all the time, having that, as well as the no sleep. And
do you think cortisol with nutrition as well?
Say that again.
Did you think the cortisol was effective with nutrition?
Yeah, exactly, because the cortisol throws off all your systems. So suddenly your gut, you have to manage your stress levels, because if you're not managing your stress levels, then it throws everything off. Like, it throws off our blood sugar levels, it throws off our gut. If our gut's not in a good space, then we're not able to absorb our nutrients. So we can actually
fantasize that the world is really, like, things are awful because we're actually so stressed from.
Exactly.
So I do remember a really stressful period in my life and going to John Belton, who's this really great holistic approach to exercising, and like I'm still very pally with him, but I do remember going to him when I was at a very low ebb. I'd lost a ton of weight, which I thought was great, because as a woman it's a huge success story.
How we were raised.
But it was because I was having Red Bulls at my news desk every night and pot noodles, and I had ulcerative colitis, was on steroids, but I was losing a ton of weight, and I felt great, but at the same time I couldn't sleep, had the sweats, had panic attacks, and was anxious.
Yeah, your
and
mental
I remember
health
him
was...
going, okay, forget about weight and your body and abs for your wedding. Let's get the cortisol. And I was like, what is that? And he was like, it's this underlying stress thing. And what he did is go, have the egg, fill yourself, but then have this. And you don't, it was managing the day and what I was putting in to fuel myself.
Yeah.
That I started to notice I wasn't feeling anxious all because I had butterflies every day when I woke up, which I thought is just normal.
Isn't that mad?
Yeah.
Like we all live through
I woke up and I was just always anxious.
I feel like that's women.
Maybe.
A lot of women go through their life, go through their days just kind of having this low level
Maybe.
anxiety and stress, and
Maybe.
just we have so many different roles we have to be.
Maybe,
I feel these days, and that kind of.
And we're always
low-level
answering,
stress.
whether it's voice memos or text from people. We always,
know,
as women,
it's
feel
non-stop.
we have to mind everyone, right?
Exactly.
Then you
Everyone
want
else.
to feed your business on Instagram or online.
Yeah.
Then the kids need us and want to be touched
Yeah.
or touch you. Then you've got, if you are married or have a partner, trying to mind that, or there's just a lot of stimulations
and a lot of moving parts that we're like
And
you say,
it's
we
kind
always
of
wanting
hard,
to. We're
yeah.
always trying to look after everybody else, and what I started to do and what I realized is so critical is if we're not looking after ourselves in terms of nutrition, and it's not to lose weight, and if you need to lose weight, then great.
Follow a
But
plan,
but it's nourishing our bodies and also minding our hormones at different stages of the month based on where we're at. And once you do that, everything just becomes so much easier. You just flow in life a lot better because you're actually working with our biology. We're not working against it.
Can you give me a slight example? Obviously, we can't get into the nitty gritty, and people can follow you to see of what you're saying about the cycles. So people that don't understand, some women would say, oh, I have my period for 5 to 7 days.
Okay.
And they forget that maybe there's the pre, the post.
Yeah.
So talk to me about how our cycle works.
Okay. So just really simplified, the first half of our cycle is when estrogen is rising, our sex hormone estrogen, and we want to really look after estrogen. And what estrogen is great. It makes us feel confident. It makes us feel driven. It gives us it's a feel good, makes us feel good. So we want to nurture estrogen, and estrogen loves exercise, so that's a great time. The first half of our cycle is a great time to push your workouts and really go for it in the gym and whatever you like to do in terms of exercise. And then in terms of food, estrogen does really well on kind of lower carbohydrate, more really good fats and good proteins. So we want to have really good healthy fats, and that's what helps estrogen to thrive. Then what happens after we ovulate is we have this spike in estrogen, and then it drops significantly.
Yes.
And progesterone needs to start to rise. Now, a big problem with women is progesterone is not getting to the levels that it should. And a lot of that is down to stress, because progesterone is our calming hormone, but it doesn't like stress. So if you implement any stress, and that's stress on the body too. So that's if you are really pushing it in the gym, or you are stressed in any other way, whether you're running around, busy mum, blah, 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 and you just have this kind of stress. Progesterone doesn't get to
Oh my
where it
God,
needs
you've
to get
literally
to.
given me the most emotional eureka moment of my entire life, which I think no one's ever. So obviously we had a horrendous time trying for Simone, and probably were stressed and lost babies and stuff. And I was put on a ton of progesterone for Simone
There you go.
for 40 weeks.
Because your progesterone
But I was never
was too-
told.
Your progesterone was too, you
But
see,
I was never explained. They just
told.
said you're going to go on progesterone to keep her, and aspirin because you have blood.
And imagine how helpful it would have been to have been said.
that's really
There's
interesting
also things in your lifestyle you can do.
But it's really interesting that you just said that, because
Yeah.
actually I just took it as I'm a bit older, or I can't keep her, and it's just, and I don't remember educating myself. I think, to be honest, probably didn't listen.
Why aren't we educated?
Yeah, but that's
Why?
so interesting, and I was
Yeah.
taking it, hating it, by the way, because I had to do it vaginally, and it was every day, and it was kind
Yeah.
of gross and made me really unwell. But that's so interesting.
Isn't it? And I'm like, why are we not
So
told
why
this?
was I lacking in it? Oh, that's so
And
interesting.
also, why were you not told? And therefore, there are things you can do in your lifestyle and your nutrition that can also help the natural production of progesterone. Obviously, you need to take it too. But I mean, I think just having that bit of empowerment to
Wow.
say, I can actually do things in my diet. Like progesterone really likes carbs. So that in our second half of our cycle, we want to be loading up on carbs, but we want good carbs. We don't want the crap.
This is when we're heading into the period.
Yeah. So that later stage of our cycle is when we want to really mind progesterone. And if we're pushing ourselves, if we have stress, if we're dieting, if we're restricting, if we're not getting those kind of good carbs in, then our progesterone doesn't get to where it is. And that's when you get really bad PMS.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And by PMS, you don't just mean cramps or sickness. You mean depressive,
anxiety,
headaches, anxiety.
Yeah, it can show up in so many ways, for women. Lack of sleep. Oh, like horrendous symptoms from PMS.
This is game changing.
It is. And I'm like, wow.
Do you feel like your head, your sex life, your every part of your mood is starting to change again?
Totally. Everything has changed for me since I've started living this way. And that's why I'm like, I need to tell every single woman about this. And I'm so...
this is the word of the gospel. I'm sorry. Like,
yeah.
I think you did one or two the algorithm, I see certain things and I see your stuff come up. You did something and it was about being in the gym and how we're all pushed to do our HIIT class and overstress everybody and how you're like, yeah, do it, but not this week. And then you did something about on this day of the cycle going shopping, your head might be a bit more confused buying things because your head, it's like this game changing.
It is game changing. It's game changing.
So what are you doing about it? You're doing online courses, you're writing a book, you're doing a TV show.
What's happening? There's an online program, so you can find it on my Instagram.
Can someone make a documentary with Sophie about this? How she charts this?
Thanks, Rebecca.
Because then we're heading into perimenopause, which we don't talk about and we don't want to.
And that's another. No, we won't talk about that.
No, but I'm just saying we are.
But that's why it becomes even more important to educate ourselves on what's happening with our hormones, because that's when we really need to look after estrogen and progesterone, because they're starting to go down subtly over 10 years, like starting to go down. So if you can change your nutrition in little ways and your lifestyle in little ways, that'll help the natural production of those hormones, then your symptoms are going to be reduced. What else do you want? Like for me, this is all about just enjoying life, enjoying life, not struggling or suffering and
surviving.
Yeah.
How are you finding parenting now?
I find I have a new lease of life.
I said to you there, you having a third just for the crack, as I can say to Sophie. She's like, no, Bex.
No. I mean, I know what I can handle and I know what I can't. And I am very happy with my two boys and I adore them. But I know I wouldn't have it in me. I'm 40 this year, and I think women who have kids in their 40s are incredible, by the way. But for me, I just don't think I could handle it. I couldn't handle the sleep again. Robbie always says, if we knew we were going to have a sleeper, I would definitely have another one. And I was like, yeah, well, good luck.
Shut up,
we've
Robbie.
never had a sleeper. Yeah, exactly. And we've never had a good sleeper. So, and also I just have a new lease of life for myself since going back into work, and this whole area, I'm so passionate about it and I'm loving it.
I love it because your eyes light up.
And as I said, I feel like I'm being a better mum to them. Like I wouldn't want to have another child and then me not being as good as I could be to those boys. Like I feel like it would really, what's the word? It would just get, my mental health would go on the floor, I feel, if I did.
Are they very different boys?
So different.
Are they?
Weird thing that you can have two boys and they're
totally different.
So different. They look different. They are different.
They're gorgeous.
Now they get on great. Well, they kill each other, but they also love each other, which is so sweet to see. But
what are your wishes for them?
Oh, my wishes for them is that they grow up having a strong just sense of self-worth, and that, probably like what I've always wanted to try and avoid is that, like, not feeling that they have to be a certain way or achieve anything, or they don't have to do any of this to know their value, that they are just amazing as they are. They don't need to change. They don't need to do anything. They don't need to
Women and
anything.
mums are quite incredible. When I ask you that question, I asked another woman, I've asked only a few people, they go off into a land that is a totally different land. Their eyes go, and there's such a purity of you speaking about them. I think women are amazing.
Yeah, me too.
But like, it's so soulful. Like, you don't wish really for any Lamborghinis, or it's like, I just hope. What are your fears?
Social media.
Oh,
that's my fear for the kid. Like, it's just a different world, isn't it, to how we were raised? And like, I get worried about kids' mental health.
I think, I'm trying to be an optimist. I think it's cyclical.
I really hope so.
Okay, so I think that we had none of it, and we were more, thank God, when I was in EOS and there was those Polaroids we take. And then it became obviously a huge deal, and Facebook started when I was at a certain, and now it's big in schools, and we're trying to get phones out of schools.
Yeah, which is great.
I think it's going to be cyclical. I think it won't be as cool. I think there'll be some strange back to, I could be wrong, but I think our little humans now might return back to like, that's actually not that cool to be
I
on your
really
phone all
hope
day.
so. Do you think so? Kind of like smoking.
Kind of like, it's just not that cool to be on your phone all day and you're not in the moment or with me. And I think it might get a little bit more.
The way they were all getting so much more into health and stuff these days.
And I think it's cyclical. And I say to my husband sometimes, I'm more worried about someone damaging them online or bullying.
That's what I mean.
Right? But I'm not actually worried about her being as addicted as I am as an adult for my work or my bloody identity. I'm not as worried about that because I think they'll just be like kind of revolted by us. I look at my kids now, and if Jason's watching a rugby video or I'm on Instagram saying, put your phone down, mummy.
Yeah. Oh, do they say that to you?
And it really hurts me, Sophie.
Actually, it breaks me.
Oh, fucking breaks me. And
breaks
I'm like,
me.
oh God, I'm not even. Yeah, because the fact that would be more important than my kids fucking kills me.
That brings me.
On holiday, I remember like putting up shite photos or being a bit reading while they were playing because I couldn't get into the pool because I'd had something done. So I was like, and just when it was said to me, just being really upset by it. But it's good because they're reminding me that I'm an asshole.
I know. Yeah. I know, but it is a wake up call, isn't it?
But also when
they're
you're
actually
talking to them or putting them in bed and you're not in the moment, I'm going to regret that. So anyway, I do think it's cyclical.
That's massively.
Sophie Morris.
Thanks,
This
Rebecca.
woman is a goddess. You see her like a baby wearing and just being all, but I love that you're also the most real. Like you're the kind of gal that when you talk to you for 5 minutes and you think it's going to be surface or just a chat, you're just so authentic and gorgeous.
Thanks,
and I've
Rebecca.
loved
That's
getting
so
to know you,
lovely.
and I'm so glad you came on.
Thanks for having me on.
Not at
It's
all.
so great.
And I can't wait to go on my hormones sorted.
Yeah.
Thank you,
brilliant.
Sophie.
Thanks, Rebecca, for having me.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of A Little Birdie Told Me. And if you did, it would mean a lot to me if you could like, subscribe, and share this episode.